Hey guys, so I just thought I would do a get ready with me. I've never done one of these before on my channel, and somehow I got foundation all over brushes that were already on my desk, so I'm cleaning it up right now. Anyways, so the foundation that I normally use every day is Too Faced Born This Way and is in the shade Snow. I usually put a little bit on and then just sort of dab it on my face. I already prepped my skin for this. I have my sunscreen on, I have a serum on. The one that I used is from Paula's Choice. I'll have to put that down below, but I really love this shade. I could probably do a little bit darker, but I like to darken up my face with contour and a little bit of bronzer. And also the shade is really neutral for my skin tone. I don't like to use like a pink or yellow. I usually try and go more neutral because my face is already pink and I don't need that. Also, I've been using this sponge. I don't even remember where I got this from, but I'm obsessed with it. It has been my favorite sponge. I've been using it for like a month now. I think it's the same texture as those Juno sponges that I've been seeing all over my Instagram. It's sort of soft. It's not like spongy like the orange one or that other pink one. You guys know what I'm talking about. So summer started last week, and San Diego still hasn't got the memo. It's been like 70 here. I'm actually going to Las Vegas next week, and it's the first time that I've ever been, so it's gonna be really fun. We're staying in a hotel, a really nice one. I'm not gonna say the name because I want to surprise you guys when I get there, but I'm really excited. So let's make sure it's all good. Okay, and then next I'm going to use my favorite concealer in the whole world. Every time I go to use something else, I'm always like, no. And it doesn't end up working for my skin. So I'm going to use Too Faced concealer. This is in the shade Swan, so this is obviously a lot lighter than my foundation, which honestly, if I were to go any shade lighter, it'd probably be like white. So then I just sort of bring it down a little bit, and then I always do the crease of my nose too. I was watching a video on YouTube probably about 6 months ago, and this guy was giving makeup tips, and he said don't bring your concealer all the way out because you're going to blend it out anyway with your sponge. So I feel like that's really helped actually save concealer, because I was just like, you know, getting in there and bringing it out, and now I'm saving concealer and still doing like the exact same thing. Okay. So I usually conceal and then I'll set everything, and then I contour my face with well, I'll show you in a second, but I think I do things a little bit differently than most people, but it's what works for me. Okay, so everything is concealed, and I'm going to set with a powder that I've been using now for a while. Some of you might know Tiffany Lynette Davis. She sent this to me, which was very nice of her, so thank you, Tiffany. I also have to like knock it because it never wants to come out. So after I do that, a bunch always comes out of it. And then I take like the pointy part of my sponge and I set my under eyes and my eye. And then I set my nose as best that I can with the sponge. I just don't want anything to crease. So anything that has the potential to crease, I always set first. And I now have lines around my mouth, so gotta set those. And on my forehead. So basically, at this point in the game, I sort of look like a ghost. And sort of dust off the excess. I sort of pat with a brush because I don't want to swipe it. I feel like brush marks on your face aren't flattering. So after I set, I usually like stretch out my eyes to make sure there's no creases. And I'll reset it. And that usually does the trick. Okay, next, I'm going to show you what I've been contouring with. This is what I use every day, every time I do my makeup. I use Too Faced Milk Chocolate Soleil. This is one I even use in the winter. Sometimes if I get a tan, which I don't usually, I'll go a little bit darker, just like the, not the milk chocolate one, but the regular one. I usually take a pretty slender brush. This is Real Techniques, what is it called? This is the Expert Face Brush. And I'll sort of dab it in here. And then I'll do my nose with it. I usually go on both sides all the way up to my eyebrow. I didn't always go all the way up to my eyebrow, and I looked back in pictures and I was like, it looks weird if I don't go all the way up to my eyebrow, so note to self. Okay. So there's that, and then I'll do my cheeks. And I usually try and go in my hairline. Okay. And bring it all the way down. And don't touch any part of this brow bone because we're going to look at that with something else. Okay. So sort of blend it out. And it is a little bit lower, but I'm going to bake that so it's going to look a little better. Contour is pretty much done. I'm going to bake now with the same powder that I was using before. I usually do like a jaw strap with this stuff. Okay, so we are baking, and then I sort of blend in the excess from my sponge into my forehead just to make sure it's blended in a little bit. I don't want to have like a super definitive line, like make sure it's all blended. So while I'm still baking, I am going to use blush and highlighter. Lately I've been reaching for this Cover FX palette. This is the Perfector Face Palette. And the inside is sort of something I would love to take on vacation with me, which I probably will when I go next week. It has blush, highlighter, bronzer, everything. For my blush, I usually use my Luxie brush. This is the 516 Duo Powder Brush, but I really like how the bristles are sort of separated for blush. So I usually go in sort of on top of my contour on my cheekbones and bring it up a little bit. And then for the highlighter, I'm actually going to use the one that's a little bit more on the pinky side. So I'm going to go in with the highlighter, and I actually like to use a smaller brush, and this one again is Real Techniques. This is the setting brush, but I like to use it for highlighter because you can sort of control where it goes. And I don't want it all over my contour. And then on my nose. And lips. And then I go back with my Real Techniques brush. This is the powder brush. I blend out this. So we are contoured, highlighted, and now for brows. So if you've been following me long enough, I have posted this brow brush before. This is my favorite brow brush that I've ever used. It is, I don't know how to pronounce it, Joa. So this brow brush has a little spoolie at the end, and then I love it because it's flat and it's synthetic and I can just control it a lot better. A lot of brow brushes that I've used. Okay, so my battery just died. As I was saying, a lot of brushes that I've used are too thick, and I'll show it to you. So the one on this side, on right, left, I don't know, the black one is so thick, and this one's really thin. Anyways, I just really love this brush. So I've been using it now for at least 6 months. So I always brush out my eyebrows first, because if you wake up and go do your makeup and your eyebrows are all crazy, yeah, no, I don't think so. Okay, so my next brow product that I have been obsessed with it's probably one of my favorite products of 2018. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. And it's July, so that gave us almost 7 months to find my favorite product, and I already found it. It is Urban Decay's Brow Blade. And I use the shade Dark Drapes. I think this is the darkest one that they make right now. First, I use the waterproof pencil and I outline my eyebrows. So let's do that really quick. Eyebrows have been mapped out with a pencil. I've actually tried not using it. I've tried like every which way, and this is just what works for me, is to map out my eyebrows with a pencil first. And then secondly, if I can find it, I use Anastasia's Dip Brow in dark brown. I have been using this for years, and I have tried other types of products like this, and I just can't get away from Anastasia's. Hers is still the best. So then I go in and I fill in about half my eyebrows with this. I usually do the back half, and then I'll show you what I do to the front half. This one I mapped out with a pencil. This one has pencil and dip brow. So a lot of people just sort of stop here, and that's where I'm going to show you the difference between my eyebrows. So after I use the pomade, I then go back in with Urban Decay's Brow Blade, and I use the ink stain side. And I go into the front and I do little strokes of hair in the front. And yes, every time I do my makeup, I draw in tiny little baby hairs. Okay, last but not least, I set my eyebrow hairs with Urban Decay's Brow Finish, and I've been using this since I've been using the brow blade, and I sort of can't help myself but set my brow hairs. I usually stroke up the first top ones, and then I'll set these ones down. Okay, so brows are finished, and eyeshadow. Okay, so for eyeshadow, I've actually been using this as like my everyday palette, the Anastasia Sultry palette. I picked it up back in the spring, and I haven't really put it back down. I just love how it has pretty neutral colors that I can wear just with everyday things. For some reason, I tend to lean toward brown shades, and this just sort of does it for me. And there's some like rose golds in there, so I don't know. I've been loving it. For the eyeshadow, I'm going to use the shade Fresh. And I'm going to just reset my foundation and concealer that I put on there. Now that I set that, then I go in with the shade Twig right here. Sorry, I had a phone call and then I just started doing my eyeshadow, but so after the shade Twig, then I blended in Dystopian, which is the dark brown, and then on the top up here I blended in Birch, and then I threw in some black in the crease and just kept blending. One of my favorite brushes for eyeshadow is an angled blending brush, if you can see it. Some more Birch and blend it back in. I think it's pretty much done. And then I'm going to show you what else I do to the bottom of my eye. I've been so obsessed with Urban Decay's 24/7 eyeliners. These guys always are like on the bottom of my eyelid. So I'm going to take the shade Lucky and just sort of slap it on the bottom and on my waterline. Then I'm going to take another palette that I've just been using like crazy, is a Too Faced Natural Love palette, and I'm going to take the Penny color. It is called Hot and Bothered, so it is this shade right here, and I'm going to blend out my eyeliner with that shade. One thing I like about the Urban Decay's eyeliners is they just pick up colors so well, and that's one thing that I've been using lately, is very neutral tones on top and then color underneath my lid. For the waterline, I usually just set it with the eyeshadow, and it usually stays there all day. It doesn't really go anywhere. That's pretty much blended out. And then I'm going to take another shade and blend it out even more. Using the same Too Faced Natural Love palette, I'm going to take the shade Honeymoon. It's sort of like a peachy color. It's a peachy pink. And I'm going to blend it down. So that sort of blends the rusty, Lucky Penny color out a little bit. I think I'm going to add a little bit more pink in there, just sort of give it like that sunset look. So I'm going to take the Sultry palette, and there's the shade Bloom, and I'm going to go in with that as well. Okay, so that sort of does a little bit more of what I was looking for. And then next I'm going to curl my lashes, throw on some eyeliner, and I will be back in like 5. Okay, so eyeshadow is done. I'm going to add a little highlight in the corner of my eye, and then I'm going to put on some gloss. I will be right back so you can see the finished product because my hair is still wet. Okay, so the look has been finished, and I don't think I'm going to do lashes. I'm just sort of running out of time. And I am actually going to go to lunch with a friend, and you'll see it on my stories later, but I am excited, and I hope you guys liked this little get ready with me. If you have any questions, just be sure to put them in the comments. Anyways, I want to do another giveaway here soon. Let me know what you think I should give away, and I also need some advice on what to film for my YouTube because I need to start posting on it again. It's just been forever. But here we are. Here's a YouTube video, and you're welcome.